Hello guys and welcome back to the F1 Tube YouTube channel, and in today's video I will be previewing the 2019 British Grand Prix, a race that has been rumoured to be the last of its era. But if you want to know about my opinions on that subject, please check out that video which I posted about February time. But let's just crack into this preview. A track which holds the status to be one of the most iconic on the planet and to be one of the best on the planet, Silverstone will host the British Grand Prix once more in 2019. The lap is just an undulating ride of excitement, including famous corners like Stowe, Maggots, Beckett's and Copse. And you can overtake there. There are so many different overtaking opportunities with not massively long straights, but enough room and enough opportunities to create good racing, with Brooklands and Stowe to me presenting the biggest opportunities. Sector 1 does have a bit of a string of slow corners ranging from turn 3 to turn 5, but apart from that it's just pure adrenaline, pure speed, and Sector 3 is basically transparent to that. But it is Sector 2 that stands out. You've got Copse, Brooklands, Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Just those corners alone stand out. And when it comes to qualifying, expect some inhumane commitment through these corners. I just love Silverstone, even though it is not as good as it used to be. Obviously, when it used to have Club being flat out the fastest corner in F1, Stowe being more of a 90-degree corner, and Bridge Corner, which is one of my all-time favourite corners in F1, still it is such a brilliant track. Heading into his home race, Lewis Hamilton preserves a 31-point lead in the drivers' standings. Valtteri Bottas is obviously second. Max Verstappen, after his rapturous Austrian Grand Prix win, is third ahead of the two Ferraris. Then Pierre Gasly is just nowhere in sixth. Then we have the best of the rest, Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. Then we have Kimi Raikkonen, and rounding out the top 10 we have Daniel Ricciardo. Will there be one last push from each of the drivers to change these standings before the summer break? Moving on to the constructors' standings, Mercedes still hold a mammoth lead despite a rather underwhelming Austrian Grand Prix. A winless Ferrari are sat in second, Red Bull are in third, and they just seem a bit neglected from both second and fourth. McLaren P4, they seem pretty clear of Renault in P5. Then we have Alfa Romeo in P6, Racing Point in 7th, Toro Rosso in 8th, Haas 9th. They really need to rectify that this weekend and for the rest of the 2019. And of course we have Williams in P10. Let's have a look at last year's race, which in my opinion was the best race of the V6 Turbo Hybrids era for the British Grand Prix, and well, Vettel jumped from P2 to P1 at the start after pole sitter Lewis Hamilton got a poor getaway. Valtteri Bottas slipped into P2 and Kimi Raikkonen would have a run on Lewis Hamilton going into turn 3. However, the two collided and Hamilton was sent spinning. Raikkonen was handed a 10-second time penalty. Hamilton was at the back of the grid. Verstappen slipped into P3. The two Haases also came to blows, and well, it was just a dramatic start. I'll be completely honest, apart from Hamilton and Raikkonen putting in some overtakes from lap 2 to about lap 30, there was no real action. But in the second half of the race, Marcus Ericsson had a big crash. This meant the safety car had to be deployed, and when it came back in, almost simultaneously there was another crash involving Grosjean and Sainz. They came to blows at Copse Corner and the safety car was deployed again. And when it came in, we were treated to probably the best 15 laps of action we had in the entire season. Just to note, when the safety car was deployed for the first time, 4 drivers of the top 6 pitted, and they were all non-Mercedes drivers. This meant Valtteri Bottas led the race from Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen and Daniel Ricciardo. Max and Kimi had an almighty scrap for P4. Raikkonen got past, but then round the outside of Lovefield, Max Verstappen got Kimi back again. It was great racing. But then after Kimi got his man round the outside of Stowe, it was again brilliant racing, but then Max Verstappen retired after spinning. I can't remember what the catalyst of the incident was of Max retiring, but it was mechanically related. K-Mag and Nando had an almighty scrap, a ferocious fight for the tail end of the points, and Magnussen was a bit rude to Alonso, with Alonso having to take to the gravel and grass, but he eventually got K-Mag and the Spaniards ended up finishing in P8. Vettel constantly, lap after lap after lap, was applying a mass of pressure on Valtteri Bottas for the lead, and again, it was just such great racing, so intense, and it was what F1 is all about. And yeah, it was just a thoroughly entertaining race, but eventually Sebastian Vettel pulled off a mesmerising overtake on Valtteri Bottas, dummying it into the inside of Brooklands. Shortly after, Hamilton and Raikkonen made their moves on Bottas, and the Finn was dropped to P4. It was Sebastian Vettel who took a brilliant victory at his rival's home track. Lewis Hamilton fought back to P2 after that incident at the start, with Kimi Raikkonen rounding out the podium, and it's best to say that the British fans were not best pleased with him. Moving on to my track master, and it is Lewis Hamilton for the British Grand Prix at his home event. He has 5 wins at his home track with 6 pole positions and 8 podiums. His adoring crowd always seems to push him to the max. If Lewis does win the British Grand Prix on Sunday, this will make him the most successful driver at Silverstone, making it 6 victories, with Alain Prost winning 5. After Austria, you have doubts about your predictions because it was so unpredictable. Obviously, I did not make predictions for the Austrian Grand Prix because I didn't make a preview, but it's just really hard to pick. However, I have come to the conclusion that when the cars are lighter and Silverstone is more of a power circuit, Ferrari will have the edge on Mercedes. I'm going for Sebastian Vettel to be on pole for the second time in 2019. I'm going for Hamilton to qualify on the front row. Then I've got Charles Leclerc in 3rd, Valtteri Bottas in 4th, Max Verstappen 5th, and Lando Norris at his home event as well in P6. Obviously, when the cars are flat out and it's more about top speeds, Ferrari do seem to have the edge because that's what makes their car, stand out from the rest at times, is their engine power, not their cornering speed. I will say as well, I've gone for Vettel because, he hasn't gone too bad around Silverstone. He has a couple of pole positions and wins to his name at the track. But when Silverstone isn't so power OP, it should fall into Mercedes' favour, and I'm going for Lewis Hamilton to win his 6th British Grand Prix. I think it will be an almighty scrap between Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, but I do think the home hero will come out on top. After his stunning Austrian Grand Prix drive, I'm going for Max Verstappen to finish in P3. Valtteri Bottas, I do think, will struggle. I don't think Silverstone is his best track. I'm then going for Charles Leclerc P5, and I'm going to go for Carlos Sainz in P6. He doesn't have the speed over his teammates in qualifying, does Carlos Sainz, but in the races he seems to get it. And, I'm not going to comment on Pierre Gasly. I do think he will struggle again this weekend, even though he did do well here last year, almost getting points, but I am also going to go for Valtteri Bottas to claim the fastest lap. Obviously, you guys now know that I have picked Carlos Sainz to finish best of the rest. I think the McLaren car is just so good and so dominant for the best of the rest. Champion, really. I've got Lando Norris to finish P2 and Nico Hulkenberg to finish in P3. I think Renault will be decent this weekend, and I think Hulkenberg does usually go well around Silverstone, especially in the last couple of years. Pirelli have chosen the hardest compound of tyres for Silverstone, the C1, C2 and C3 tyres, and it seems to me that they will be using the soft tyres a lot and the medium tyres a lot. It doesn't seem that the hards will be a great tyre. Basically, the top 6 are doing the same strategies, except for the fact that the Silver Arrows are taking more sets of the medium tyres and less of the soft. Renault seem to be going really aggressive as well. As well as that, Williams seem to be going a bit conservative, but to be honest, on 1 lap pace they cannot touch anyone. But at time of recording, which is actually Saturday, there is meant to be rain on the Friday, so that could be halting race setups / how many tyres they're using, so they might have more sets for Saturday, which could be interesting, and it could really throw the race wide open. But guys, that is it for today's video. Please like this video, comment down below what you thought of this video, and please subscribe to the F1 Tube YouTube channel. And until next time guys, see you later.